We as a country, we as a city need to have our hair on fire as much about the learning loss problem as about COVID, because the stakes are at least as big. The stakes are at least as big. So we have a lot of education people in the room who know this much better than I do, but we know that there are very key developmental milestones that kids need to reach, right? If you cannot read by the end of 3rd grade, your risk of dropping out of high school increases by a factor of 4. If you have not completed your required algebra class by the end of 9th grade, your risk of dropping out of high school goes up by a factor of 5. Okay, we have a whole there were 50 million kids of school age when the pandemic hit, who have almost all been shifted back between a half a year and a year. The most disadvantaged kids affected the most. They are at huge risk for missing these key developmental milestones. The time to act is now. The time to act was yesterday to solve this problem.
And so just know what we're working on right now, the top priority is how do we sustain the investments that we know are working. And by the way, we're doing it together with our principals. And then I want to just talk about our tutor corps. Again, as I was called out, these strategies, we're all working in sync with each other, everybody. There is no magic solution for education, but I got to tell you, these tutors have become indispensable for us. You can see the numbers, over 600 tutors serving over 10,000 students in 229 schools. And right now, reading is the focus on K-5, again, which is why we're seeing such significant gains in reading, and math has been the focus in 6 to 12. And so I'll end with this, everybody, before we go to our panel, is that, we're showing what is possible with a little bit of investment, but I want
what I want to leave people with. Yeah. And maybe I'll speak as a member of the business community. I mentioned, I think we have a really rich history here in Chicago of being civically engaged and leaning in and supporting our Chicago public education. And I'd ask that we keep doing that and all of the different creative ways that one can make those investments, and that we think about listening to the voice of those closest to the students, such as parents, and we think about the student from the very, very moment they become through their entire academic journey, because I think it is all so important.
Just on the long-term sustainability point, I just want to make the argument as an economist that all of these investments in the school system, they are investments. We will get the money back. Right. So you've heard, this is the most important thing for the economic growth of the city of Chicago. And there are vicious cycles and there are virtuous cycles for cities. And I think letting the public school system bleed resources is the perfect way to start a vicious cycle for a city, because that leads to kids who are not competitive in the new economy. That leads to a city that's not growing, that leads to businesses not coming, that leads to people leaving, that leads to depleted tax base, and so on. All of that can be turned around and spun up in the opposite direction if we're forward looking. I think, in our normal lives as normal people, we are always worried about going on vacation or buying the couch or the new drapes, because we're like, how can we afford that? And so there's always a part of us that's a little resistant or reluctant to spend money when you're in a budget challenge. But this is not a vacation. This is not buying drapes. This is not, it is genuinely an investment that's critical for the future of the city of Chicago.